I've told my husband I want a divorce. He's never put in any effort with me or the kids and has inflicted verbal and emotional abuse on all of us for 19 years. Now that my kids are older and I'm not so naive, I am done. Since telling him this, he's been on his best behavior. Cleaning the house, helping with the kids, offering to take me places. I can't get through to him that I'm not trying to make it work anymore, and he's wasting his time. I have no problem being amicable about the divorce and remaining friends in whatever capacity he can handle, but I know that if I push the issue, he'll unleash fury and make it all about me being selfish. I appreciate him trying to step up, but I know this cycle and it's not for me anymore. From a man's perspective, how can I diplomatically approach this and let him know we're not staying together, no matter how much he changes for the better? Treat your next wife better. Story 1-1. Get a divorce attorney. Follow their instructions regarding what you can do, and inform them about what you think your husband is capable of. 1A. After discussing everything with your attorney, you may need to find a new place to live, but please confirm that with your attorney. Follow your attorney's instructions. Understand that the process may reveal the worst parts of your husband, parts you didn't know existed, and it will be difficult. Prepare for that. Deal with how challenging it is. Find support. Live a better life. Story 2. He is going to treat it like a death because, in a way, it is. There are 5 phases: denial, bargaining, anger, depression, and then acceptance. Right now, he is in the denial phase. Story 3. I've seen enough stories of this situation gone wrong. Make sure your bases are completely covered before you leave. Ensure you have a ready supply of money in a separate account that he does not have access to. Make sure all important documents for both you and the children are out of the house. It's preferable to have more than one friend or family member with you when you tell him you're leaving, or better yet, do it via service from your lawyer. Move all your things out at a time when he is not there if possible. If the process will take you some time, start taking audio or video recordings of the abuse. Set your phone to record and put it in your pocket. If you are not in a two-party consent state, it may not be admissible in court, but it's certainly useful on social media and makes for a great bargaining chip. Be prepared for him to use the kids as pawns in this. If you believe you can get sole custody, make sure he knows that any possible hope of seeing the kids in the future will rely on him leaving them out of this, not continuing any abuse and not using them against you. Teach them how to do secret recordings as well if they are old enough and have devices that can. Until the divorce is final, do not tell him where you are living unless your lawyer recommends it. For kid purposes, meet him at shared locations like a relative's, friends, or public places. Have backup on speed dial ready to go during any period in which his behavior is currently leaning aggressive. Make sure the lawyer lets him know that even the slightest threat or aggressive behavior will go into a police report. Whatever you do, do not have any kind of dates or relationships until the divorce is final. Not even casual flirting with anyone in the school pickup line. Your single most important priority is a clean break, and any third-party love interest will absolutely wreck that. To be blunt, consider alternatives until your last name is ready to be changed. Your lawyer will likely not advise you to block him from communication because of the children and because he might provide further evidence for divorce proceedings. Because of that, you will be susceptible to manipulative messages. Every time you get one of those, archive it immediately and then listen to one of the abuse recordings to remind yourself why you are doing this. Story 4. File the papers and have your lawyer or an officer deliver them with the court date. File protection orders if necessary. Move out. Story 5. You might want to read Why Does He Do That? By Lundy Bancroft, which is about abusive relationships and how to protect yourself while you get out of one. Story 6. He had 19 years to get his act together. You stayed for whatever reason, often due to trauma bonding, but that's 19 years too late. Story 7. You do not tell him anything. You serve him with divorce papers and go from there. Rely on what your lawyer says. Story 8. It's not a game. You don't need to get anything through to him. You don't need him to agree or even accept it. But I'm going to be real here. Are you sure you're done? The only reason I ask is because if you really were done, you'd be in a lawyer's office right now instead of asking Reddit how to prove something to him. Just my 2 cents. Story 9. I unfortunately cannot answer your question, but I want to point out that this is all a performance to make you stay. They always do that. They disrespect you and treat you poorly, and as soon as they see you're ready to leave, they act like the perfect person for a while just so you hope they have changed. They have not changed and never will. Humans do not change. Their needs do. Hence, his need is to have you there to mistreat, and he knows it won't be easy to find another person who will do all the work in the house, family, and relationships for him. So he acts according to his needs. He does what he knows you would want in order to make you stay. Good luck, honey. I wish you the best, and please ask for help if needed. Sending a big hug. Story 10. It might be a good idea to talk to a lawyer before you talk to your husband. The verbal and emotional abuse is something you should consider from a pragmatic perspective. Statistically, the time when you decide to leave and announce it is most dangerous. I don't know your situation, but it might be wise to talk to a specialized counselor or domestic violence organization and make a plan before you announce things to your husband. Story 11. You just move forward. Remember, he is going to be way behind you in accepting this. I think this is fairly common when the woman is just done. She has mentally moved forward and can't get out fast enough at that point. The men are wondering what happened. Expect him to go through all the stages of grieving. There will be anger eventually, just a heads up. Story 12. Go get yourself an attorney. Have them write up the divorce papers. Find a place to live, an apartment or house. Give him the papers and tell him you're leaving. Pack your things and leave. That's the best you're going to get. If it was going to be amicable, he would have agreed when you told him the first time. Now, it's simply not going to happen without hurt feelings. He made that clear when he tried to fix things. Story 13. He suddenly decided to become a good husband when he realized you might leave him. If you told him you changed your mind, the countdown would start to him taking you for granted again, and I suspect it would not be a long countdown. Him thinking he can win you back by acting nice is just him refusing to accept the new state of things, so he probably won't accept it until the actual divorce goes through. Story 14. You play along while you get everything in order. You work with an attorney to make an exit plan. You gather evidence and have him served with papers. Don't do anything to let him know something is happening. Story 15. Don't waste your time trying to be diplomatic. He will interpret it as so there is a chance. Just file the papers and have him served. Story 16. File for official proceedings and show your determined attitude towards it. Then write a diss track about him. Story 17. Remember, he's only putting in effort because his life will become harder without you around. He's not doing it for you. He's doing it for his own gain. Stay strong, sweet lady. Stand your ground. Story 18. Explain it in the letter that you leave for him after you move out secretly while he's out of the house. The way you describe him, he might hurt you or even kill you if you don't accept his too late peace offering. Story 19. Move into another room, show no affection, cut financial ties, and only pay 50-50, such as separate bank accounts. Do activities separately and serve him papers. Actions speak louder than words. Story 20. Usually, when there's a divorce, there's some paperwork to handle, not just an unpleasant conversation. Did you handle the paperwork? If not, you're not divorcing him yet. Story 21. Start doing what you have to do. Get the ball rolling and sit him down. Look him right in the eye and say, I'm done. We're getting a divorce whether you start being better now or not. I've gotten an attorney and started the process, so I suggest you do the same. It's not on you after that. All you can do is be completely straightforward, and if he doesn't want to hear it, that's on him. He's an adult, for goodness sake. Story 22. Start saving money, but don't leave unless he becomes physical or extremely confrontational. It's hard on the kids if you just leave. Tell them vaguely what's going on, get an attorney, and if you can't afford one, call the domestic violence hotline to get one for free. Shelters and advocates cover the costs. Make sure friends and family know exactly what's going on, assuming he hasn't made you cut ties with all of them yet. Good luck, and if you ever need a stranger, I'm here. Story 23. Go get the papers, sign them, and tell him to sign them, then file for divorce. It's not that hard. You say you're a grown-up now, But you're still over here asking us how to divorce your husband? Story 24. So confused by this. You don't need to convince him of anything, just do it. Move out and serve him divorce papers. He can do as much cleaning as he wants, but that doesn't mean you need to engage or even pause to consider stopping the divorce process. Just do it regardless of his behavior. Story 25. Who cares if he thinks you're selfish? Clearly, he is, so why even keep him in your life amicably? Forget him. No need to be diplomatic. Story 26. So, you filed for divorce and served him? If not, then it's no surprise that he thinks you're all talk. Hire an attorney, serve him papers, and do what your attorney tells you to do. Story 27. The fact that you know he will unleash fury if you push this means there is no diplomatic way to handle it. If you are absolutely certain that you want to do this, then stop dancing around it and just do it. Meet with a divorce lawyer and follow their instructions precisely. Another thing to consider is if you need an escape plan. If you think you or your children may be in danger because of this, then you should ask a friend or family member if you can stay for a while. Have a ready-to-go bag with at least a few days' worth of clothes, essentials, and other things you cannot live without, like important documents and keepsakes. Story 28. You just leave. You said it yourself, he is not going to accept that it is over, so the only way to really get the point across is to actually be done. Story 29. You can't change him. He's going to revert to his old self. Speak to a lawyer to best prepare yourself to leave. Best of luck to you. Story 30. Just be clear and consistent. Don't equivocate. He either gets it or he doesn't. Either way, handle accordingly. Good luck. Story 31. Hire a lawyer, listen to what he or she says, and do exactly what the lawyer says. You don't know better than your lawyer. They've done this many times. Your divorce and situation are not special or unique. Your lawyer knows how to get you to the other side with the least amount of pain and suffering. Listen and follow their advice. Story 32. I know you ask men, but hear me out. Do not warn him that you are filing for divorce. Talk to a lawyer immediately and don't tell him. Have your exit plan ready and serve him when you are ready. Pay special attention to the financial aspects. My ex knew I was about to file, and he hid a lot of money from me. I would be extra careful if he's a business owner, as this is how my ex hid a lot. Story 33. If you are getting divorced, you will be making many decisions on your own now, so why not start with this one? Whatever he says about the divorce does not matter. Talk to your lawyers and start the process. If he is not accepting of the situation, he can deal with it on his own. Story 34. Secretly plan it, and one day when he's gone to work, pack everything that you want to take and just be gone. Don't even leave a note. That will wake him up that you're done. Story 35. Perhaps you haven't made yourself clear. You see, you just told him you're done. No, you need to tell him you're done, like you did in the original post. Good luck. Story 36. File for divorce? You told him already, so why didn't you follow through? It sounds like you're not actually serious about it. Story 37. In addition to all the advice you are receiving, you need to move out of the home. The longer you live together, the harder it is for him to accept the facts and learn to move forward. Story 38. Get a lawyer, have him served, and follow your lawyer's advice. Stay away from men. Your ability to choose them is not working well. Story 39. This is you being selfish. The man is fighting for his life cycle or not. I hope his next wife can appreciate him. Story 40. Don't try to be friends. To men, it just means, she can use me as a therapist, bail her out of her problems, and use me as a backup if her dating life doesn't go well. Being friendly is different from being friends. I would recommend living somewhere else until it's all done. Staying there only gives him hope that he can work it out. Of course, I'm not blaming you for how he feels. Story 41. Actions speak louder than words. Telling him that you're not happy and that you're done will only result in drama or insincere apologies. I don't know your plan for during or after the divorce, or if it's even realistic, but you need to prepare it and have it reviewed by a lawyer. As soon as you're ready to leave the home or have him removed, Have the papers delivered by a process server or do it yourself, whatever suits the situation, and put that plan into action at that moment. Anything less will appear as posturing, and no words can change that. Once papers are served and someone leaves the household, if he wants one last talk, so be it. But you need to remain firm, not give him hope, and leave any further communication to your respective legal representatives. Story 42. Make sure you have support, friends, or family that genuinely are there for you. Depending on circumstances, I had discussions and an understanding with my kids that I was going. And yes, a lawyer who specializes in family separation because it can be done amicably. Story 43. Every state is different. My advice stops after follow the advice of your attorney. Aside from therapy and seeking out resources for support, I'm so sorry, but mostly your next step is to go ahead and consult a lawyer. Story 44. Wouldn't a court need some sort of documentation or specific examples of how she defines abuse? Or does one spouse just have to claim it and that's that? Is there a mandatory separation policy in the state that must be fulfilled prior to a divorce? Assuming she's not in fear for her life or some other urgent circumstance. The original post was very much couched in victimhood, and it seems so many are ready to go all out on the soon-to-be ex. Story 45. If only he had worked a 9-to-6 schedule and done all the housework, she wouldn't have become bored and broken her vows. Good luck with Chad and Tyrone. The grass isn't always greener. Story 46. Usually, it's the woman pushing against my hips or thighs with her hands if it becomes too painful or I hit her cervix accidentally. I assume you mean sex? Sorry if it's not, laughing out loud. Story 47. Stick to your guns. There may be no way you can get the response you want from him. Quietly file for the divorce. It will sink in when you are actually doing it. Until then, you probably have to still deal with him. Let him clean, let him dote. It will keep him more docile until he learns you're not changing your mind. I wish you all the luck in your endeavor. You've already told him. He knows you have. Just keep that in mind. And I hope you find something better. Story 48. That's cold. That's what's wrong with society. No one believes in for better or for worse till death do we part. Divorce, and your kids will probably follow your lead one day too. Do better. Set a better example. Work on your marriage and teach your kids to fight for family, not throw it away. Family isn't something you just toss when you get tired of it. Story 49. Diplomatically leave and get your lawyer to call him and set up the details. Even though you feel in the right, he will feel you're in the wrong. You cannot avoid the emotional repercussions of your decisions when they impact somebody else's life. Story 50. It probably is about you being selfish. Just call your lawyer and be the awful ex-wife you so desperately want to be. Story 51. Over the years, I gave my husband this ultimatum, and his improvements lasted longer and longer until we now get along fine 45 years later. Men take a long time to grow up. If you find it in you, give him another chance. Story 52. If you want to tell him you are absolutely done, talk to your divorce lawyer and serve him with papers. Honestly, I'd also make the divorce papers leave him with nothing. If he ignores them, you get everything. If he takes the hint and gets the process moving, you can compromise to a degree you are comfortable with. I am a fan of diplomacy where you have a gun in one hand and a sandwich in the other, and ask which they'd prefer. The papers are the gun. You can ask again firmly but politely for the sandwich. Story 53. Keeping in mind that we're only hearing one side of the story, I can only look at this from a practical point of view. Just file the paperwork and proceed with what you decided to do. Story 54. Move out. He will continue to deceive you into staying. He also will most likely not move. You will need to make the decision, get an attorney, and find an apartment. Story 55. Explain to him that it's time to move on. Let him know that if he has a decent job, he'll probably have some luck in the dating world and find a single mom in her late 30s looking for stability. He'll need to handle stepkids, but she'll be 5 to 10 years younger than you are. I know a few guys who went through this and ended up much happier after a tired, sexless 20-year marriage. Story 56. I'm not married. I'm the literal textbook definition of young and dumb. How do you diplomatically approach this? Get a lawyer and file for divorce. It should be filed immediately. Understand you might face some anger once you serve the papers, but you're done. This post says it all. Good luck with your divorce. It's guys like him who lose half their belongings in their divorce and complain about it to others. As a guy, I'm rooting for you though. Story 57. I'd advise going out for dinner, explaining your pain points, and being firm but sympathetic about the children and how the story ended up. In a nutshell, put him in your shoes and make him feel your thoughts before hiring a divorce lawyer. Story 58. You tell him honestly and courteously, remember that this was your husband, and despite his lack of investment, you were in love with this person at one point. Once you've told him that clearly and concisely, if you want to try to come up with a plan together to make the divorce as efficient and not damaging as possible, that's a courtesy but not an obligation. If he's oblivious to it and is still trying to right the ship, just get your attorney, advise him to do the same, and continue your progress forward. Divorces hurt regardless of whether they are effortless or full of toxicity. Remember that. Be compassionate, but don't let yourself be dragged slowly down because he's dragging his feet. Story 59. You say he's done this for 19 years, and saying you're not naive is kind of untrue, but at least now you've suffered enough that you're done. As far as telling him you're done, give him the papers and he'll get the message. Story 60. Interview a couple of attorneys. Get some referrals from friends or coworkers. Don't take a confrontational approach. The split should be as amicable as possible for both of you. Only the attorneys win in a bigger contest, as they make more. Story 61. Don't tell him. Get a plan together for your exit. Ask your family and friends and pack your things. When he's at work, move. Trust me on this one. If you tell him, he will find someone, he may already have someone waiting. So just get out. Block his number and everything. Story 62. Inflicted verbal and emotional abuse on all of us for 19 years. I've seen some comments suggesting staying and filing, or moving out only when advised. However, it's important to highlight that you should leave when you think it's necessary, at the first sign of trouble, or if you anticipate any threat to your personal safety. He's been abusive for years, and after 19 years of mental and emotional abuse, what's to stop him from escalating to physical abuse? He's confident enough to have acted this way for over 19 years. Could he turn physically abusive or violent once you file? How safe would you be if you're still in the same house when you do file? Those are questions only you can answer. But if I push the issue with divorce, he's going to unleash fury and blame me for being selfish. You've already told him once, and he's completely ignored it. Only you know the extent of this fury he could unleash. We can only say so much. But none of us will be there to physically protect you if something happens. And quite frankly, neither will a court of law or your lawyer. They can only do as much as they can in a legal capacity. So take as much advice as you need, but when it comes to moving out and ensuring your personal safety, do what's best at a time that's best for you. Story 63. Leave, take everything he's worked for. His children, his house, his car, a hefty settlement, and leave him to the wolves. If he ends up in a ditch, well, too bad. He shouldn't have called you names. Story 64. If he is a real man, just leave. He will probably barely notice. If he is a fake man, just leave, and he might start stalking. Either way, just walk away. Guys are typically not very emotional. When they are, watch out. Good luck. Story 65. So you used him to raise the kids, and now you want to be with a younger man. You'll probably take a trip to Nashville to drink and move on. Just end the relationship and let him find his soulmate. Then you can have your midlife crisis in peace. Just be honest and say what it really is. There is no diplomatic way to say it. Story 66. That's cold. That's what's wrong with society. No one believes in for better or for worse till death do us part. Divorce, and your kids will probably follow your lead one day too. Do better. Set a better example. Work on your marriage and teach your kids to fight for family, not throw it away. Family isn't something you just toss aside when you get tired of it. Story 67. This sounds like maybe you were not very clear on what you wanted and what your boundaries were. I am not in favor of anyone having divorce as an option in their mind, as it gives people a way to keep one foot out of the relationship. You married this man, and now it's time to shape up and make it work. Going through a divorce is going to be difficult. He will not understand what he has done to make you feel this way because you did not communicate your feelings at the time they occurred. He will be eager to reconcile and work things out because you did not set clear boundaries and expectations in your relationship. When you finally decide to make the unfortunate and cowardly choice of leaving, he will be in the worst possible emotional state. This man may never be in your life again. He might even harm himself due to feeling like a failure in his purpose. At best, you will need to change locations, change your name, change jobs, and waive your rights to the funds, assets, and debts you both accumulated. You might have to say goodbye to your children and start over with nothing. This would be the only way to avoid intense animosity and hatred, not just from your husband but your children too, should their dad ever do something regrettable. I suggest seeking counseling together, specifically focusing on abusive behavior and marriage relationships. He may not realize what he is doing is abusive in your eyes. He may even think he is being the dad the kids needed. If you have not communicated otherwise, or if your feedback made him feel diminished, your concerns may not have been heard or were misunderstood. This can easily be seen as an ungrateful, non-communicative wife who suddenly wants a divorce because they are no longer legally required to take care of their children. Story 68. Also, if he tries to have sex with you after the papers are filed and you comply, it will annul whatever is on the table. If you refuse and he forces it, it is rape and you can take everything from him. He gets nothing and has no rights. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.